But this alone is something I can speak about very, very, very practically. Gentleness and tenderness. Let me speak about this not just on the part of the woman, but on the part of very specifically a couple, that is a man and a woman who are in a loving relationship. Let me tell you something. For those of you who are indeed in relationships now, they can be either, oh, you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, you're engaged, you're married, whatever the specific situation is. You just got married 2 days ago, you've been married for 10 years and you have children, etc., etc. Let me tell you something interesting from a man's perspective. But women need to know this, and women need to hear this, actually. Indeed, today especially, because we're living in an age of conflict and contention, this is one reason why, I forget the number now, over 50%, I think it might be as much as 70% of marriages in America end up in divorce. In other nations it's more, actually. In other nations it's a little bit less. But it is this. For the women out there, let me give you a secret. What your man wants from you are several things, including everything that I mentioned, but one of which is especially important in its own way. A man comes to you indeed because he sees you as a personification of femininity. You see, unless he's a different kind of guy, he doesn't want a masculine woman in his life. He wants a feminine woman. Part of what that means is that he wants a woman who will be tender and gentle with him, interestingly. Oh, you may have a tough guy. You may have a guy who's hyper-masculine and has a job where, he has to go out there and, be really strong, be hard like a rock, etc. But you know what? When he comes home to you, he doesn't want someone who's going to be grouchy, who's going to yell at him, who's going to argue with him, who's going to go into rages, etc., etc. On the contrary, he wants shelter. He wants an oasis. He wants his woman to be someone who is going to treat him with tenderness and kindness, unlike all the other people out there in the world. So this is a very, very important quality that today especially women need to understand. Indeed, this talk that I'm giving today, 50 years ago, would not have been necessary. 50 years, 100 years ago, also depending upon the culture. This talk would not even have been necessary. Everything that I'm talking about today, women intuitively, but also through good modeling, having seen their mothers, their aunts, having seen the elder women of society, they would have simply inculcated all of these qualities within themselves naturally, unthinkingly. They wouldn't even have to think about these things. And it's sad that we even have to think about these things today. But indeed, let me explain this to especially the women out there. If you want peace and happiness and contentment in your relationship with your man, be kind to him, be gentle with him, always be tender in every way. And let me tell you, you will have a man who will be loyal to you unto death. Let's go on with just a few more of these. Kind-hearted. This is another very important quality. A woman must be kind-hearted. What does this mean? A woman must have empathy. A woman must be compassionate. A woman must be the sort of woman who, whenever she sees suffering around her, certainly her own family, certainly her own children, certainly her friends, but more than this, very naturally, a kind-hearted woman is the sort of woman who, if she sees someone else's child crying, and she knows that she has to because the mother is engaged very, very busily doing something, she herself will go up and pick up the child and try to soothe the child. When she sees that someone needs help, out of compassion, out of empathy, very naturally, she will do everything in her power to bring happiness to the people around her, whoever she sees. Even if it's just a neighbor, even if it's a semi-stranger, it doesn't have to be just the people closest to her. The people closest to her, that's a given. That's a given that she'll be kind-hearted toward them. But indeed, a good woman, a Vedic woman, should be a woman who has compassion and who has empathy toward all those who are around her. Another very, very important quality that I'm going to speak about is innocence. And I've spoken about this in the past, and I can speak about, again, this quality alone probably for an hour. But this is another very, very important quality that, again, all people should have. But this should be the case especially with a woman, that she should have innocence to her. Now, I always, always, always need to qualify this today By innocence, I don't mean being naive. I don't mean being unintelligent. I don't mean allowing individuals to take advantage of you. No, indeed, if a person truly understands what is meant by innocence, they understand that a person can have a PhD, they can be someone who is wealthy, they can be someone who, again, they are accomplished in the world, and yet be an innocent personality in who they are. And what is meant by innocence is that, indeed, they approach the world understanding that the environment around us is our friend, not our enemy. Understanding that behind the scenes, behind even the empirical environment that we see, the empirical atmosphere that is here, there is ultimately God. And that being the case, a good woman approaches all reality understanding this and marveling in the wonder of this world and the people of this world, understanding that indeed God is behind all things. So thus approaching the world with tremendous innocence. And again, not naivete, not innocence to the point where people will take advantage of her. On the contrary, within 1.2 seconds that a predator tries to take advantage of her, she shuts him down. And yet she maintains her innocence. That's a true woman. Finally, nurturing. Indeed, this is one of the most important feminine qualities that exists. And this is something that is very specific toward women. Of course, again, like with all of these, some of these can apply to some extent to men as well, but these are inherent to women. So nurturing is one of these qualities that is inherent to women. And it's interesting how, again, today with our culture and our understanding of gender being warped and confused, sometimes people almost find this insulting. Oh, women they're always supposed to be the nurturers. This is a compliment. To nurture means, who are you if you're an individual who is nurturing? Can you hear in the background? I hope you can, actually. Yes, there is a baby who is here. And one of our women, who is not even the baby's mother, actually, interestingly, getting back to what I was saying before about compassion and empathy, etc. One of our women is taking care of this beautiful baby. Nurturing is something that is one of the most important qualities that a human being can have. But what does it say about the nurturing woman? Again, today with all these silly stereotypes, even this beautiful word, nurturing, is seen in this stereotypical sort of way. Oh, it's some unintelligent barefoot woman pregnant in the kitchen, blah, blah, blah. No. To be nurturing as a woman means that you have to be strong. It means that you have to be compassionate. It means that you have to have the intelligence and the wisdom such that when the emotion of nurturing arises in you, you then have to couple that with the actual information of knowing how do I nurture, etc., etc. So in other words, a woman who is a good nurturer is a superior woman, not a fool. And how sad is it that today, when we hear this word, and we have feminists make fun of such things, oh, they just want women to just baby the men and just be nurturers, and no, we're meant for greater things. There is nothing greater. If you truly have the ability to understand what is meant by nurturing and what an individual needs to be a good nurturer, it means you're a superior person. It means that, again, you are a person who you are strong, you are disciplined, you are compassionate, you are empathetic. It means you have intelligence. It means you have skill. See, to want to nurture is one thing. But then here's the person you're to nurture. Oh, I want to nurture them. Well, what do I do? What does that mean? No, you have to have intelligence and skill, etc. So this is indeed a very, very important quality that women are to either have within them naturally, or today, again, given the fact that unfortunately we're living in a debilitated, warped culture, they need to re-cultivate this within themselves. So all that being said, these are just a few of the important qualities. Needless to say, I could have gone on and on, spoken about dozens and dozens more important qualities of a Vedic woman.